It's like, do you want to be on the winning team?
Right.
And motherfuckers were like, just show me which cliff to push my mom off of. Two things. I just got some information from our admin department, and we are starting a football podcast soon. Good things happen to good teams. Bad things happen to bad teams. Listen, this is the last thing I'm gonna say about the Patriots. Let me tell you why I love Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, especially Bill Belichick, is because he reinvented offense in the NFL. Okay, he reinvented it, and I'm gonna prove it to you. This is how he reinvented it. There was a year that he had. Bill Belichick said, "We're just gonna run the ball down your throat. We're going to take the running game." And he had, they called the dude law firm. His name was Ben Jarvis Green Ellis was his name. And his nickname, they was like law firm because it sounded like, it was like, and this dude was running all over the place. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. They had Lawrence Maroney, big, huge, tall dude, running back, fast as all outdoors. And they just ran and ran. And then, Tom Brady cleaned it up. Right. You're committing to the run, and then he torches you if you try to, stuff the box or anything like that. Then Belichick said, you know what? And everybody was like, all right, we can stop your run. He's like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go get some straight meathead, musclehead tight ends. These aren't diva wide receivers that are tall and lanky and got blazing speed. Right. These guys are good right there in that flat area, and they can take. It's going to take three of your guys to take them down.
You can't, right? You can't tackle them.
He went and got an annoying guy. What's his name?
Gronk,
and he got Aaron Hernandez. And these two guys were unstoppable. Yeah. Tight end game. Brady didn't. I mean, the check down. A tight end is getting open or can catch the ball way quicker than a wide receiver that's going sprinting all the way down the field.
Right.
And these guys just ate. They were killing people. Wait a second. Well, they were really, really good. Okay.
Too soon?
That setup. Oh my God.
So anyway, they were really, really good.
Masterpiece. That was beautiful to watch.
You're
looking right at the magician's hands, and he still takes your watch off, man. Impressive, King.
S38 Fire Team. What is going on? How are you guys doing?
Brooklyn here. Glad to be back. Happy to see you guys. Happy birthday, Marines. Happy Veterans Day. Happy foosball, etc. 'Tis the season.
This is Adam from Slick Top City, where your ultimate drive begins. And I also want to say happy birthday to all the Marines.
Hoorah.
T-shirt game.
Hoorah.
And also, thank you for all the service of those veterans who are watching. Really appreciate it, and your service to this country. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, we're, it's no secret that we're all three former Marines. And the Marine Corps birthday is something that's always special to us. And, it's such a big part of tradition. I'm sure we can sit here and tell a dozen stories each about Marine Corps birthday. And then of course, salute to all veterans. Probably the coolest part about being a veteran is definitely the good parking at some places. That was worth it. That in itself I would have signed up all over again just to be able to park next to handicapped people and pregnant women. That's all I ask for sometimes. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the T-shirt war winner right here, M5. I know that they're,
back up a little so we can see what you got going there.
It's I got the.
How many generations are on your shirt?
All the way to the
F10.
Yeah,
F10. Yep.
All the way to the F10.
It looks like your autofocus is blurring it out like it's a curse.
Yeah, it does. That's why I kind of.
Or a nipple. Too soon?
Moving on.
Sorry, Janet Jackson. Okay,
yes.
T-shirt wars. We're gonna get to the real winner here. With my E30 sweater.
I was wondering. I didn't know if you
I
were.
forgot. I forgot you had that sweater, dude.
Yeah,
Oh
this
my
is
goodness.
a Kith collaboration BMW sweater, and it's I feel like I'm not getting the vibe. I'm gonna have to pick up my laptop here and risk breaking it, or risk looking risque trying to show.
Your lap.
There you go. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 87 even.
Yeah. IS.
Well done.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
very
that's,
cool. Did you just get that?
This whole thing? No, I don't dry it when I wash it, so it's it's still, I don't throw it in the I don't throw it in the dryer after washing it, which is why it's not, Cadian size, and
Well, listen,
brand
that's
new.
that's a very cool sweater. I like that, and
I didn't get it I didn't get it from Blip Shift either, who you lost the sponsorship for.
That's why it still exists, because you're had to clear points.
Well, Blip Shift hasn't sponsored you, but they are sponsoring me, which is, I'm sorry that you lost the sponsorship, but I can cry myself to sleep with the money I got from our sponsorship deal. They said, I had to be like Beyonce and leave Destiny's Child in order to get the deal, because they didn't like the way you talked about them.
Oh my God, this guy just wiped his tears with $100 bills. Hopefully you don't get conjunctivitis in your eyes, but other than that, listen, all sorts of flexing going on here.
I also wash my bills,
in the same manner. So it's Blip Shift shirt, $100 bill, Blip Shift shirt. All right. Well, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about M5s. The BMW M5 has long been, and I'm not making any discoveries here. I'm not the James Webb Telescope sending back some information that we never previously had. Okay. Everybody knows that the BMW M5 is the architect of the sports sedan, at least making it mainstream and making it at least on these American shores. I know that we can talk about the Alfa Romeo and even BMW's own 1600 and the 2002. We can get into sports sedans, and what else is out there? Maybe a Fiat or two is out there.
Warrior class.
We can get into all of those, but modern, I like to call it modern classics. That's where my heart lies. I'm talking like 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. That's really the sweet spot. But we're not limited to that with the M5s. BMW just unveiled, if you go back to this episode right here, I know how to do that now. Believe it or not. Excellent. Maybe it's going to be here. I'm not sure. S38 Fire Team actually dissected the latest BMW M5 generation, which left a lot to be desired, but it's an M5 nonetheless. Brooklyn, talk to me. Tell me about what is your overall thought and impression of the BMW M5 that we don't already know, or that we do know?
BMW M5 is essentially, the spirit of the BMW M5 is the perfect car. Here's why. There are cars that people dream about and love, Lamborghini Countach, or a Ferrari 360, a Porsche 911. There are fast cars, right? But there are fast cars that you cannot pick your kids up from school with if you have more than one kid, right? Or if you need a baby seat. The M5 gets rid of all of that. If you're an executive, but you want more speed, and you don't want the cushiness, you don't feel like you're old enough for a 7 Series, the M5 is perfect because you can take your kids to school in it. You can go out for a Sunday or Saturday afternoon blast. You can go to date night. Like, the M5 is always the perfect car in any generation it's in, because it's sporting character. It's a car that you can drive fast when you're by yourself, and you can still take your grandma to church in, you can take your wife to date night in. It looks, those who know what they're looking at, and they're like, man, he's got an M5. Those who don't, it's still a clean, respectable, stoic, sometimes even the gray man, like that gray assassin. You can just park the M5, and some people who are not car people won't even know what it is. It's the perfect all-around vehicle. I think that's what's amazing about the M5.
I might agree with that. Slick Top City, what's going on here? You're a man who comes from the way that you build your garage and your resume is a little bit different than mine and Brooklyn's. So give me your impression of the BMW M5, and as a E28 connoisseur, and I'll let a little bit of cat out of the bag here, but we filmed an episode where I was really trying to find my friend some of the nicest classic BMWs, and well,
found me a golf cart. Thanks, Dre.
Most of my friends, and I found Adam this really nice E24. It was so plush and nice, and he was just like, that's okay. And then we ended up bucking up on this E23 that was the most poverty spec BMW 7 Series I've ever seen in my life. And I had to leave Adam and the 7 Series in a room by themselves with a little sign that said, do not disturb. So with all of that being said, tell me how you feel about M5s.
For a long time, I did not. For a long time, I tried to kid myself and say that I didn't need an M5. Being an E28 connoisseur, like you said, I tried to convince myself that, I could get 90% of the enjoyment out of an E28 without having the M. And I drove more and more M cars. I drove stock ones. I drove modified ones. I drove engine swapped E28s. I drove everything. And what I came to realize was that the DNA of the original M5 is very strong and it's worthy of chasing. And not only that, but I don't think it will, spoiler alert, I don't think it'll ever be captured again by another generation of M5, in my opinion. I did want to discuss one more thing about the M5 is that some people call it a Q ship, right?
Yes.
You know, I wanted to talk about that etymology real quick, right? So this is from the internet. The Q ship originates from World War I, specifically from the British Royal Navy's use of heavily armed merchant vessels disguised as unarmed merchant ships. And that is a great metaphor for the M5, just as you were pointing out, Brooklyn. It says the vessels were designed to lure German U-boats into making surface attacks, allowing the Q ships to open fire and sink them. So at the time, I'm sure somebody can fact check me on this, but the M5 was among the fastest on the road. Definitely the fastest sedan.
You could take a 911. It could take a contemporary 911, and that's a Q ship.
Right. So, what else is there to say about the M5? I mean, that's the basis for it, and I think it's a perfect description, and it's just a legend among automobiles.
Well, we thank you, Adam, and I'm glad that I didn't have to book another room for you. But listen, this is what we're gonna do. It's and I kind of told the guys this. I was like, I don't know if there's gonna be enough suspense in this episode if we talk about M5s in terms of ranking them. What we like the least versus what we like the most. But I think that this is the angle that we're going to approach. This is the angle we're going to take here. I'm going to present an M5, and you guys got to really tell me how you feel about it. Okay. And we're going to rank these things in order from 1 to, we're on 6 generations now, right?
Are we doing the G90?
Yeah. We got to. It exists.
Yeah, the G90
exists. Is it on sale yet? Well, it exists. It's in the ether, so we got to do it.
Yeah. Well, that being said, I mean, I just want to say there should be an honorable mention for the M535i. But
Yeah, sure,
it doesn't.
sure.
It's not an M5. It's not an M5. I'll give you that. But I think that it was a great experiment, and having ridden in one, I could definitely testify as to where BMW was going when they pulled out the E28 M5. The same formula applies. It's just a big engine in a.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day, and they mentioned that it had the big six out of the E24, correct?
Yeah, it had the M90. Yep.
Yeah, they had the big six out of the M90. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And it was never that engine wasn't available in any other 5 Series.
5 Series, correct. Yeah, so every other 5 Series had like 180 horsepower, I think, as the most for the big sixes, and then this one was like 210.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then if you I think you've driven an M90 car before. I think you have. Bruce is an M90 car.
I've driven Bruce. Yep.
Okay, so an M90 car, and it's a little different in E24 vice E12 or E28. But wait, no, there was no M90s in E28s. Anyway, it's a little different in E24, but the M90 is a quickly revving, powerful engine, and it goes perfectly with the M535i, little update. So it's a really good combination. Anyway.
Yeah, and we'll just go through and talk about each one. Really, I mean, we know what's going to end up at the top and what's going to end up at the bottom.
Or do we?
Well, let's just flesh this. I'm trying to be, as time conscientious as possible, and also, I want to make it fair for all of our listeners and all of our viewers. So, this is.
That's nice looking.
It's nice. I don't think that
it's a nice looking car.
Yeah, I do like they call the red Vegas red. That's pretty cool.
This is the G90.
Wait, was there a Brooklyn gray?
This is the G90.
It appears that there's. Let's not skip over that. And it's
also a trending look. According to it looks really good with the red calipers, though. I will say that.
Brooklyn gray it is.
But make sure you pull into your garage forward so you can. That's kind of weird to have your gas. It's just like electric there, gas there. It's.
It looks like it's almost 7 Series-ish or something. There's something. Well, like a lot of BMWs, you have to get used to it, but
you do, because if you remember when the F80 M3 came out and M4, it nobody was really feeling that. You could get a frozen deep gray. This is that bad guy in a European heist film paint job, just kind of.
I'm kind of surprised they're still doing that, and I'm complete. Like there was someone in this latest issue of Roundel that was complaining about black wheels being on every BMW to this day, and it's been going on for a while now. It was allegedly to fight brake dust, and that annoys me too. Like there should be an option. I still like gray or silver gray wheels.
Yeah,
the black wheels don't do it for me, and they hide the special shape and style of the wheels, in my humble opinion.
Isle of Man green. I like that.
Yeah, Isle of Man green. That's cool.
We've got to do Isle of Man, right? If Dre ever gets done ruining our sponsorship money, we've got to do Isle of Man. But I tell you what, I will never sell you guys out. I will never take the motorcycle. I will never take the money and run, and cause problems with the squad. I won't Diana Ross you. I won't Beyonce you.
I just did some research and I figured out who your sponsor is. You're also going to be reporting to them at 7:00 tomorrow morning. So
6:30.
Guys over here flashing $100 bills. Like, what'd you leave? Magic City? What's going on here? All
right. Do not bring $100 bills to Magic City. Pro tip: I've never been to Magic City. I'm just kidding. See, even the silver wheels are black and silver.
Uh,
What are we laughing about?
I didn't have Magic City reference in my
In your bingo card?
Yeah, this is probably the best wheels right here.
I like those. Yeah. What are those? 20s? Yep. 20/21.
Yeah. So
the old Corvette trick with the even bigger wheel in the back.
Yeah. So you'd have to go out of your way to mess up that rake. You'd have to purposely screw it up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's growing on me by the minute. I don't think I could live with that green every day, but
yeah, I would definitely have to do the Vegas red. Yeah, I think the Vegas red with those wheels. What do you think, Adam?
I think it's a Planet.
It's as big as a Planet.
Planet.
I mean, you'd fit in it comfortably.
I would.
But as a masochist, you probably don't like that. But I drove the side chick today, and I was like, "This car is small."
All right. If you guys had to rank that, where are you at? We've got 7 generations of M5s. Where are we plotting the this latest M5, the 2025 M5?
Let me start here. We can't rank it last, right? And I'm going to tell you why we can't rank it last.
I'm doing it last.
Well, how many is this? The 7th generation?
The 7th generation.
We can't rank it last because there's 2 reasons, right? We are a save the manuals crew, right? We want, unless there's absolutely no choice, we want 3 pedals. This is not available in 3 pedals, but for many generations now, well, you had a few. They made 7 E60 M5s available in America with 3 pedals. Then they made a few F10s available in America with 3 pedals. What's the next? Let me check my homework here. The F90 wasn't available here with 3 pedals. So, and it's hard to get almost anything after the E39 M5 with 3 pedals. So that means there's 4 generations now where more than likely you're not going to readily get a 3-pedal example. I feel like this new it's G90, right?
G90.
The G90 is not at the bottom of the pile because of the automatic-ish M5s. It's going to be it's probably going to have the best performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the F90 is actually as fast, if not faster. But that's
the F90 competition is faster than almost any car. Faster than most non Bugattis on the planet. The F90 competition apparently is motorcycle fast.
All right, so Adam, where do you have the G90? 7th.
7th. Thank you. Yeah.
Where do you have it?
I'm not going to put it at 7th. I think.
Now, remember, you're going to have to still rank the other.
I'm going to give it 6.
Okay. All right. I'm going to place it at, it's definitely got to be number 7 for me. I can't get over the bulbous rear end, and it just wasn't working for me. I can't get around it, literally and figuratively, probably. So.
And it's a hybrid, no matter what.
And it's a hybrid, no matter what.
That's not an option. That's not an option. That is what it is. It is a hybrid.
That is what it is. Okay, so going back up the ladder here, we have the F90 M5. And I will insert gratuitous amount of pics of the rental that I had. But Adam, what was your impression of the F90 M5?
Well, yours. I'm sorry. The rental that you had. I'm going to call it yours. Yours that you had for that weekend just a few weeks ago.
My credit card said it was mine.
yours was not the first time I had driven the F90. And so my first experiences with it was in drag races with M2s and other M5s and etc. and on the skid pad. And I just got to say that car is a weapon. It is amazing. It's trouble. Period. It is trouble.
Yeah, Brooklyn, you same, right? You
Yes, I had an anti-collision system with me called Dre Zoom, hollering that I don't drive it as fast as Adam drove it. So you really ruined it for me, Adam. But that car was lightning fast, and it belies, its bulk. Once again, BMW M engineers who, these are guys who could make a UPS truck lap the ring in record time. The car just goes. You never feel like it's going to run out of breath. It's powerful. Actually, I'm glad I drove it because that experience, really raised the F90's ranking for me.
Can I say one more thing? Can I say one more thing about the F90?
Please.
What I don't really appreciate about the car that you brought to Solomon's is that BMW has determined a way to not give us the full M5. Right? Now there's a special version. Now there's the CS. Now there's another level, trim level, option level of M5. Why can't we just get M5?
The
M5, yeah.
Well, I do appreciate doing something special. I really do appreciate that. I mean, why don't we just leave with that?
Yeah, it's marketing 101, right? Never give the people what they actually want, unless you're charging them for it. But the F90 M5, based off of my experience, is it's by far and away the fastest car I've ever driven, and it is certainly. But the downside is here's the positives. The car is lightning fast. The car looks really, really good. The one that I was just sharing is in black, which I really like. I'm not a big white car guy, but it still had a command presence to it. I was reviewing some of the photos from Solomon's, and the car is so big. Like Tim's 911, it looked like a bumper car next to it. It was probably a bad idea to park that next to anything this side of a food truck. It's just so big, and it's spacious on the inside. It swallowed all the luggage. There's plenty of room for people to sit in the back. But I think Brooklyn once said it was like it might as well have been a M7. It really that big. But to get something that big to move that fast, that there's something to be said there. So I really like the F90 M5. I think that if I was, big, corner office, corporate job, and I got to come in every day and I need to flex and I need to take clients out. There's
the job you have right now.
The job I have right now, they go out in a Nissan Rogue with box fenders. Okay. So, if I had a big cushy corporate job like Adam, I would definitely be having them sit in the back of the M5, and the minute they go to take a sip of their latte, and it's spilt all over them. So where are you ranking this, Brooklyn? You've got spots 1 through 5 and 7 open.
Believe it or not, that my asterisk is that I'm ranking the F90 as the competition, right? Because that's what I have the experience with. They also have a CS, as the Wolf alluded to, and that one has like 2 seats in the back instead of a bench, et cetera, et cetera. But the F90, the BMW M5 F90 competition, I am ranking number 3. Are you writing all this down?
I am. F90, number 3.
Yeah, and which is, believe it or not, a surprise to me because I always knew what my number 3 was. But that weekend changed things.
I'm going to quote. You've said that to me before in a different context. You always knew who your number 3 was. But Adam, what do you got?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Ah.
Adam.
And I want to qualify this. I mean, I'm not going to say that. I think what's really difficult about this ranking is that it's not like it's one car is far and away, ahead of another.
Right. No,
I mean, we were talking about 7 cars within a tenth of a second,
right,
on the racetrack. It's a
for sure.
So I say it's a 5th, and I stand by it. It was just a terrific car. I totally agree, but I will concede that in 10 years, all of the technology will be obsolete, and no one will be able to work on it. No one.
Yeah, but we're talking about today.
Listen, I'll bookmark this for our 10,000th episode, and when we come back in 10 years from now, we'll see if you're right or wrong.
Good to go. Thank you.
And if I know Adam, he'll be recording from the inside the engine bay of a F90 M5. Like, I almost got this reactor in, he's like lowering it in there. And he's like, oh, yeah, I kind of had to walk that back a little bit. Me personally, for the F90 M5, I loved it. It was everything that I love about fast cars. But the size, is, again, it needed to go on a diet. So I am going to pluck it right in the number 4 spot for me.
Yeah, the size was a plus for me. I loved it. It was a good fit.
Right on. Great car. Just depends on who you are, I suppose. So moving on from there, we're going to go back up the ladder, and the F10 M5, which we also have a little bit of history with, and super cool car. Again, we're talking about a car that has over 500 horsepower, is available in El Manuel, right?
Yeah.
I missed. I thought this was going to have a lot of pictures on it, but I guess not. I
feel like people weren't crazy about the manual versions, though.
Kind
of an afterthought.
It's one of those things where it's a manual, but it's not like it works so well with the paddle shifter. It got the job done really. It's not like it's, and this is probably a detriment of, and Adam kind of, messaged me about this. He was just like, did turbos really just dilute the whole M5 brand,
Yeah, I think it's another thing. I think that with the E60 M5, right? At the time, it's probably China now, but at the time, the United States of America was, remember, they didn't give us M cars initially, right? BMW Car Club of America had to do a writing campaign. Imagine that now. I guess now you just complain online. In the 90s, they had to do a writing campaign to get a watered down version, shout out to Danger Dan, of the M3 imported to the US, right? We weren't getting M's at all. But then once we got a taste, it was 1988, M3, M5, M6. And then now it's M everything. You can get an MX3, MX4, right? A Z4M. Well, I don't know if you can today, but you could. So when they decided that they were going paddle shifters like everybody else, the enthusiasts here in America, here in the United States of America, demanded to still get a 6-speed. We got the E39 M5 and 6-speed. We wanted the E60 M5 and 6-speed. And even Germans couldn't get one with 3 pedals, but the USA did. And then and they did that, right? But then when they came to the F10, we stomped our feet again and we got a 6-speed. But I feel, personal opinion, they just grab something off the shelf. They're like, we totally designed this car for our dual clutch transmission or SMG or whatever they were doing at the time. We're going to just throw a 6-speed off the shelf. And it was not matched up to the car, and it just didn't work well from the reviews I've read. I've never driven a 6-speed one. I have driven the 2-pedal version. Right. So I think that's part of it. Like when you begrudgingly, just like in the 70s and 80s, the BMW engineers begrudgingly gave us cup holders. Now it's like begrudgingly giving 3-pedal manuals. And I think that's why the manuals in the E60 and F10 may not be up to par.
There's certainly some truth to that. You're talking about, again, you're right. They are developing the engine and the transmission simultaneously. And I think that even with the E46 SMG and even to a degree, the E60 SMG, the technology wasn't all there, but they had it figured out by the time they got to this generation. From what I've read, the E60, in America, we were like, I read this actually in Car and Driver. They're like, in Europe, everything is Formula One, just bang, 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 bang. In America, what we like, we're NASCAR. And what do NASCAR still do? They still shift with a big old 4-speed in there. And we're still more, nothing. Again, I'm not saying anything and nobody knows there, but we still want manuals. And they retrofitted the E60s with manuals. I think with the F10s, they didn't even have, they're like, we're not going to go down that road again. We're like, we'll just give you a 6-speed and we'll throw it in there. But 6-speed F10s are out there. You can buy them, but they don't have like the following the E60 M5 6-speeds do, manuals. All the ones I've seen, most people just have the automatic and they're perfectly fine with it. And it might be a generational thing. Who knows? But a cool car. Adam, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it was the first sort of foray into new things for the 5 Series. Turbocharged M, it was the first turbocharged M5, right? Like you showed on the screen there. And then this car, the F10, also had double wishbones as opposed to McPherson struts. So it was able to have a lower hood, longer hood.
Oh, really?
Which was really great for style. I really love how the F10 looks. But again, I think it's the first foray away from the naturally aspirated screamers of the earlier M5 generations. And so I think it's sort of an in-between model, like a rebuilding year or a rebuilding generation of the M5. And that my ranking will reflect that.
All right. Well, what is your ranking?
I will rank it as number 6.
Number 6, Adam.
Below the F90. I think they really nailed it with all the different things in the F90. Any kind of improvements that needed to be made over the F10, I think they nailed it with the F90.
Got it. I think you're on to something there. Brooklyn, where are you putting the F10?
I've got the F10 as my number 7. And that's a difficult call to make with a car that has, 567 horsepower in the competition package, 501 pound-feet of torque, which was such a big jump over the E60 M5. 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. But just because, as our friend the Wolf of Slick Top City said earlier, it's like they're all so close. But if I'm putting them in my garage, in my pole barn, and I'm ranking them from my favorite to my least favorite, and I've always liked the F10, but I got to give a nudge to the F90.
You got the F90 number 3. So
no. Oh, wait. Oh,
yeah. You got the F90 number 3, the G90. I got that right? The G90 is number 6 and the F10 is number 7.
Yep.
You can play at home too if you'd like. You can play at home. You can write this down. They can show you.
Yeah, I don't know how you the fans at home score the fight, but the the referees are telling me where I'm hitting.
All right. Well, speaking of hitting, let's talk about the E60 M5, which we kind of already really kind of hinted towards. This is the only V10 BMW ever, at least that I know of. It's a popular engine swap. They throw it in everything from E30s to E46s. I've seen them in E31s. I think I seen them in my Cup. I mean, they putting that V10 in everything these days. If you stand still long enough, they might swap you into a V10. Right. Adam, have you had any drives in E60 M5s?
No, actually, I haven't. Great question.
We're gonna have to fix that. You're a worldly man. You've been around the block. You've done a lot of M5 tings, as we call it in this space. So that's quite surprising. I thought you were really good.
I have ridden and I think I've driven in an E60, but I haven't, not an M5.
Not an M5. Okay. Brooklyn, any experience with the E60?
Yes. I have driven an E60 M5 on a track at BMW headquarters in South Carolina at the Zentrum, the factory.
That sounds pretty official.
Spartanburg, yes. When they were new, I drove the E60 M5 and the accompanying V10 M6 on the track. Similar to what Adam experienced. At the M3s, M5s, M6s on the track, chasing each other, and the M5, that V10 is a completely different experience from other BMWs, and the sound is intoxicating, and being able to drive it on the track, you really get to wind it out and let it wail. I'm still not sure I wish someone could explain from a scientific perspective why they got 507 horsepower, but only managed to get 360, if it was even that much. Not many pound-feet of torque there.
Yeah, it was like almost less torque or same torque as the V8. Well, it was a 5-liter V10, and
was it less than 300?
Yeah, 295 if I remember.
Yeah, so you're talking about bore and stroke, and I think that it had a lot more. It was designed not to go long, right, Adam? Like the longer you go, the more stroke you can get. So they wanted it to go really fast like this. So it was, I think it had a shorter stroke. If Tim was on here, he'd explain that. That's his favorite thing to explain to you, is how American V8s have more torque. But I mean,
my homework has the wrong numbers on it because it says 507 horsepower, 384 pound-feet of torque, and I know it's not 384 pound-feet of torque. The E39 M5 has 369 pound-feet of torque, and it always felt much stronger, more from a grunt perspective. So yeah, no, it was a great car.
It's right here. Just exactly. The S85 is a high rev engine of the purest kind. The short stroke motor with a 92 millimeter bore and a 75.2 millimeter stroke is, basically 5 liters. So it's there, I'm reading this and they don't mention torque figures.
There's probably a reason. Isn't that a BMW site?
Yeah, this is the BMW M.com site.
Yeah, they don't want to mention that. They're embarrassed.
Well, I don't think, I mean, I understand. I know torque, is what torque is, but, the horsepower certainly makes up for it. You're talking about that's over 100 horsepower per liter, and you can't scoff at that. But anyway, keep going. I'm not pooping on your ranking here. Don't worry, I'll edit all of this to make us look smart.
Huh. Well, can you find? I'm getting all of this foreign stuff. Not shout out to foreign folks, but it's no hate,
Oh my
But
gosh.
it's giving me Newton meters and stuff. I'm trying to find a torque figure.
I
Anyway,
think
it's
you're
nowhere
right.
close
Actually,
to five. Normally you'll see an AMG Benz and it's like 600 horsepower, 738 foot-pounds of torque, and you're like, wow, right? But the V10 wasn't like that. The V10 is a screamer. It was a fun car to drive. The factory, we only had the paddle shift versions. I've never driven a 6-speed manual version. See, that's saying 384.
yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's 384.
I think I'm thinking of the 4-liter V8.
The one that's in the
S65.
yeah.
Wait, what is?
So an
What is the
E39
V10
M5
called?
is 369 pound-feet of torque, and the E60, and this is according to AI, of course, this sounds right, 384. So what? So it's like 20 pound-feet more, right?
It's also not 500. I noticed that when I got those results too. It was famously 507. I remember that from when they were new. Oh yeah, S85 V10. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, that car it's always been, everyone hated the Bengal design of the E60. And I wasn't a big fan either, but I love the design of the M5 in the E60. The E-sexy. That sounds like something Dr. Robinson would say. He seems to squeeze sexy into every word, every sentence. So what happens is the E60 M5 is beautiful to me, right? A white E60 M5, like red leather seats. I don't like the M6 wheels. I prefer the plenty of spokes. I'm sure there's a number of spokes, 19, 20, 21. The big spoked wheels, factory wheels of the E60 M5. I'd really love what wasn't available here, the E60 M5 Touring. I think that is an amazing looking automobile. So yeah. Were you asking me my rank or just?
Yes, your Marine Corps rank and where you rank this car, both.
Yes. Bonafide train to kill rate. Perfect. I'd love to have one of these. And you know what? To keep it a buck, I'm not even going to demand that I have one of these in the very rare 6-speed model.
Well, what do they say? That's a brave move. What, Tucker was the guy's name? Let's see how that pays off.
Cotton.
Cotton.
Bold move, Cotton.
Bold
No,
move.
I mean I'd want a 6-speed version, but I know how rare they are.
Yeah, they pop up for sale every once in a while, believe it or not. And
Right.
every once in a while, you even find one for sale where the guy's just like, oh, take this off my hands. We can get into a whole nother show about rod bearings, but
Right, but like this at 2 cargo pockets at $22,000.
that's not a bad ride.
I mean, come on, like
That's not a
find
bad
a
ride.
V10, right? $22,000. Find a 500 horsepower V10. Because what are we talking about? 500 horsepower V10s. We're talking about BMW M5 E60, right? We're talking about Aston Martin. We're talking about Gallardo. We're talking about Audi R8.
Viper's like 8-10 liters.
Yeah, they're much bigger. That's why they got all the torque. But yeah,
But I mean, but Vipers aren't cheap now. I'm talking, because if you anything that's not a BMW M5 or M6 is going to cost you a pretty penny when you start talking about V10s, I believe, because the R8s are still very, very pricey. But yeah, I like these cars.
where do you like them in your ranking? It's 1, 2, 4, and 5 available.
I think what?
You've got spots 1, 2, 4, and 5. You have the F90 at 3, the G90 at 6, and the F10 at 7. So you have spots 1, 2.
Okay, that's what I was going to tell you earlier. This has always been my 3. This is
your number 3? Yeah.
No. This has historically been my number 3. But I put the
F90. Yeah, you got the F90
as my 3. Okay, well, let me deliberate with myself for a second here.
Are you doing like the go ahead.
Like the what?
Are you doing like Doctor Strange? Is that his name from Marvel? where he's like, let me check.
Doctor Strange.
And he
There's a
does
million
a
permutations.
million different, like,
we only
I
win
drove
one.
all of them for a lifetime. I'm gonna come back with my number.
There's only one. No, I'm going to stick. Oof. This is tough.
Adam, are you ready?
It's no, I can do this. It's in the 4 slot.
Number 4 slot, E60. Adam, where are you at?
Number 3.
Number 3. You like it that much?
I'll just lead by saying that it is a naturally aspirated 6-speed car that you can rev out to 8250. And at the time, BMW was in F1.
They were.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's nothing that sells better than, racing on Sunday, selling on Monday.
Yeah.
And that was when I really got into F1. It was, BMW was still in the competing. And I saw the what do you call it? The natural progression from the racetrack to to this car, and I was just like, wow, this is great. I also had some misgivings about the styling, but it is kind of softened over the ages.
It's aged well.
I
wouldn't call it aged well, but it's the M5 disguise is good. The regular E60 is
right.
Listen. This episode is about M5s, Dre Zoom. The M5 has aged well. I never cared about the other ones. The
other ones never cared about you, to make it fair, but
they're not M5s.
All right, listen, and this is a cool picture right here because this is off the BMW website, and you can see it has the M6 wheels on there, which is really cool, in the M5 Touring. So I think that's pretty dope. This is where I'm going to land it. The E60 is in my 5 slot. It's just I love the E60 for the sounds. It's one of the, but with so many swaps being prevalent, you can take that V10 and put it in whatever car that you would really want it in, and you not have to deal with the bangle butt. And the interior on the E60 M5 it's garbage. I hate to say it, but it's garbage. And to all my E60,
in what way?
It's just a lot of plastic. It's just big, wide, uninspiring. It's cold. There's no wood. Okay, not even like the kind of fake wood that makes you feel like you bought an expensive car. It's just not there. I don't think that I don't think BMW really. That's that weird time. Even with the what's the 3 Series that's complementary to the E60, not the
E46.
Is it
E46 and the E60 were out at the same time?
The E90 has a similar. The E90 has a similar interior where it's just like, it's just very
uninspired.
Yeah, it's just very uninspired. Just very basic, bare bones. You're spending $75,000 on an M5, and your interior looks bland, and the seats didn't even look that good. And I know they had the little bolsters that come in when you crank the car up and all of that, or you start to get rowdy. But E60, great engine, ho-hum body, I just can't wrap my head around it. I think that there's better out there. All right, gents. So that leaves us with really.
Where did you rank it?
I had the E60 at number 5. So number 4, F90, E60, F10, G90. So yeah, that's where we're at. Which really the E60, and to Adam's point, the E60 and F10 could really swap places, and I wouldn't blink an eye because they're, it's like the the F10's interior is on point. I love the F10 interior, but it's the exterior is just still not working for me. I can't do anything with it. I really can't. Now, the next M5 up for bid needs no introduction. The E39 M5, introduced in Germany, I want to say in '99, didn't make it, or 98
I
perhaps.
bet it was 98. Yeah.
Yeah, 98 didn't make it its way stateside until in 1999. You could get it as a 2000, and I think in 1998 you could get it as a 99 in Germany or Europe. But the E39 M5, 4.9 liter V8, 397 horsepower, 360 odd feet of torque. I have one sitting in my garage. Brooklyn has one sitting in his garage. Adam has driven many. Where are we at? I mean, this is it's odd. We started out talking about GOATs with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and I can tell by how much Brooklyn is dancing that the E39 M5 might be coming in here for a knockout. Where are we at, Brooklyn?
This is the story of a girl. So the E39 M5 is one of the best cars ever made. It is let me get the subterfuge out of the way. It is my number one pick, right? 400 horsepower, almost 400 pound-feet of torque. It is wicked fun, whether your commute is 15 minutes or an hour and a half. Bring a trailer. Let me pull up Bring a Trailer real quick. I'm sure it'll bounce to an E39 M5 in the beginning. But what they have to say, they have a little blurb about every type of car that you're looking at a category. And it says E39 M5, the first BMW M car to receive a V8. We like V8s. The long way home in an E39 M5 is still the short way. That's perfect. I don't know who wrote that. Shout out to who wrote that, right? The long way home in an E39 M5 is still the short way, right? The days I drive my M5 to work, I'm in a better mood when I get there. Same for the airport, a trip to New York City, whatever, right? You feel refreshed, right? Even if you had to use your 3 pedals in traffic. Traffic opens up, you're happy again. You forget the traffic ever occurred. This car is a masterclass, right? It's part hot rod, it's part luxury car. It's never too luxurious. It's a Q-ship, unless you've deleted your mufflers. People might mistake it for a librarian 525 or 528 or 530. It's the perfect size. It's not humongous. It is the sweet spot. I think it still represents well what the E28 M5 started and what the E34 M5 carried on. And before technology made it so that the M5 was a really, really, really fast appliance. I think that, I say to you, my colleagues, that the E39 M5 is number one. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Oh, all right, Trump. Jesus Christ. All right.
Jamaican horns, right?
Yeah, Jamaican horns. Adam, what's your impression of the E39 M5, if you can follow that up?
Yeah, basically ditto for all the stuff he said. It's a legend in its own right. I do appreciate that they went from a V8. I think we were talking about inline sixes a couple weeks ago and how they were a staple of BMW cars, and they could have really missed with this one, but they did it just right. I mean, this is a great design, great drive line, great interior, great everything. And where I really like the M5 is the ad campaigns that they did. If you remember, they did the one at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. And then they also did the thing with, I can't remember his name right now. the Heist. They did those series of short films by Guy Ritchie, I believe it was.
Yep, with Madonna.
Yep. And that one in particular with Madonna was just hilarious, and also kind of highlighted what the M5 could do. And yeah, it's just a bull in a china shop, but also very refined. And I think it's a legend. So I put it at number 2.
Number 2 for Adam, E39. Okay, we're gonna add some. All right, well,
you're up, Dre.
It's the E39 M5. Even before I had one, I lusted after this car for a variety of reasons. It's a V8. When I was growing up, the Ford Mustang with the 5.0, I thought that was the benchmark for V8s. I remember the first time BMW came out with a V8, it was a 4-liter or 4.4 or 4-liter. And I was just like, how could this be? Like, how could you make a V8 that is smaller than, I'm like, there's 4-liter V6s. I think Chrysler had a 4-liter V6 and somebody, but this is before I was a kid. I didn't really understand volume and bore and stroke and all that stuff like we were talking about earlier. But it has a 4.9 liter V8. It has a manual 6-speed transmission. You can only get it in manual. It makes it so much easier when you're searching on the interwebs. You don't get fooled by some idiot thinking that his Manumatic is a manual.
Right.
I don't know how many times I've went and looked at a car and they're like, oh, it's a manual. And they like show me the little plus minus thing. And I'm like, I'm slapping the living shit out you right now, bro. But
Batman slapping Robin meme.
Yeah. It only came and went, to Brooklyn's point, and I didn't even realize this, but you're right. It only came in one spec. You could get it just E39 M5. It was just the M5. There was no weirdo, some long forgotten racer that nobody knows about, that edition with cloth insert seats. It was just, at least in America, that's how we got it. The majority of E39 M5s out there either have the the standard interior or the ostrich print, or the like the extended leather type deal, but they're all very similar. Probably the only misstep that I can speak of with the E39 M5, well, there's a few. The two-tone leather, I think the Silverstone in black and the red and black and the blue and black, it did not age well. Very Nopi Nationals.
Yeah, very 90s.
But who knew back then? As a person who's owned a few E36s, quite a few E36s over the years, BMW got the interior right. The interior is a big part of the driving experience for me, and BMW really got the interior right with the E39 M5. My favorite place to go is the junkyard. I love going to junkyards, and when I go to junkyards, even a 96, 97 E39 base model, relatively speaking, the interior is still, you can tell like how well made it is when a car's been sitting out in the sun, windows are busted, it's getting rained on. You have to take the interior apart if you want a part out of it, and it's really well done. No hate on E36s, and the E36s just weren't there. The interiors did not age well, even if you tried your best to take care of them. So it's a super sweet spot as far as styling, mechanics, drivetrain, tire size, just everything about the car. It's a joy to even wash for me. Washing the car, it's a big car, but it's a joy to wash because it has these big long panels and upright windows, and it's just, it's really the perfect car. The E39 M5 falls in my number 3 spot, and I'll explain to you why. I'll explain to you why the E39 falls in the 3 spot.
Did not see that coming.
The E39 M5 falls in the 3 spot because there's a lot of girth and size to it, and you have to, from the factory, the handling is not it handles like a bigger car in comparison to the other two cars that could have been in the spot.
It's also got recirculating ball instead of the rack and pinion of the
right,
5.
which I don't have a problem with the steering. I always thought the steering was good. The brakes are a little sus sometimes, but the steering is good. What you have to do though is you have to upgrade the suspension or lower the car, as we like, which I do to all my cars anyway. So it really elevates it. But from the factory stock, an E39, the suspension is a little wallowy sometimes. I don't like that. It has super long throws on the shifter, which is a little, for the time it was fine, but now it's a little weird. But overall, listen. E39 M5, saying you're number 3 in my rankings of all-time M5s is, saying, hey, damn it, J-Lo, you lost to Salma Hayek, look who the competition was, So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. We got everybody locked in for the E39, yeah? Not bad, right? Yeah, Brooklyn, are you all right? You send EMS? You guys can see his face.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Good night, nurse. Well, what do we have left? The 1991 E34 M5, 5-speed manual transmission, 24 valves, double overhead cams, an evolution of the original S38 that was in the E28 M5. Adam, have you had any seat time in one of these?
I have I believe the same weekend that I helped to lower one, lower than low.
How could we forget that?
Yeah, so I think that was the weekend that I drove an E34 M5 for the first and probably only time, I think. So,
beautiful car. Beautiful.
Yeah, they're
car.
okay.
Yeah,
they're okay.
Oh, tough crowd. Brooklyn, give me something better than that, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's wild. If you go to bring a trailer and look at the Electa E34 M5, this is that one was a green touring, and it was just I think it sold for $120,000. When you go to bring a trailer, I learned something interesting. There's a company called Hearst Auto from Hearst Publishing, which started in literally the 1800s. And what I learned today while reading a Car and Driver article was that Car and Driver, Road and Track, and Bring a Trailer are owned by this company.
Yeah, they are.
So,
that's why you see these little Road and Track articles where they're like, "Hey, this is our Bring a Trailer pick for the day."
Yeah, they're like spoon feeding each other. It's very, more nepotism. Yeah. So the E34 M5, I think, is a beautiful car, right? I think the E34 M5 is quintessential BMW. This is like, if a layperson sees this car, they know it's a BMW, right? BMW has gone in many styling directions, but I think one of the things that the E34 does right is some people may consider it boring or a dentist car, but I love them. And these last editions or limited editions, really, really handsome automobiles. I definitely want to get an E34 at some point.
Adam, do you concur or you disagree?
Yeah, I concur. It's definitely a dentist car.
Savage. Well, I guess, Adam, I know who that number 4 spot is for. Good night, nurse. This guy.
Good.
So why would you rank it so high?
It is a great car, actually. It is a great car and a great drive line, and it is an evolution, of course, of the E28 M5. And I think it's very telling that, we can definitely see there was a huge change between the E34 and the E39. So I don't want to say that was a misstep necessarily with the E34, but it doesn't move me like it does the other cars, and that's why it's getting the number 4 ranking for me.
Yeah, well, let me write that down. Good night, nurse. All right, E30.
Great colors though. I really like the purples and the touring. The touring is almost a saving factor for the E34 M5, and almost, it made me take pause as to where I was going to rank it. So, well done BMW on that score.
This is where I'm at with E34 M5s. Okay, this is where I'm at. The E34 M5, the last edition, they were shown right here, it has the biggest 6-cylinder BMW has ever put in a car, standing to this day, a 3.8 liter straight six, which is as it showed earlier, it's the last BMW to have a derivative of the M1's engine. And I think that stands for something. I know BMW's headquarters is shaped in the form of like 4 cylinders, which pays homage to maybe the M10, but they're, where they really started with 4-cylinder engines and maybe motorcycles or something, I don't know. But if BMW is known for anything, it's known for their straight sixes. Even if you go to vintage, you'll most of the cars pop with the hoods pop. They got straight sixes. The best M cars have straight sixes, and to be able to purchase a car that has the S38 B38 in it, which had 340 horsepower, which is absolutely nothing to sneeze at, in a sedan body, which at this point came with the 6-speed manual transmission, same 6-speed that's in the E39 M5, which is a great transmission. It's all thumbs up. It's all win for me. I'm not going to say that this is my number 1, but I wouldn't be mad at myself if it was, because it embodies everything that the motorsport is about in terms of big engine, manual transmission, taut suspension, big wheels, big tires, and powerful brakes, and kidneys, twin headlights. It's a BMW's BMW. When BMWs share pictures of their family, the E34 is in there. And it's weird to me that there is not a lot more E34 M5s around, because they were produced in pretty decent numbers, but they don't get the love of the E30. It sucks being sandwiched in between 2 great models. I've said this to you guys before, where it's hard to follow up to when you knock it out the park, right? It's hard to make a follow-up hit to something that was already a hit. Adam?
Right.
I think these cars actually qualified, like the 540s and the M5s. I think they qualified for cash for clunkers.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean,
you'd
be a maniac to do it, but yeah, they did.
Absolute travesty. What a waste.
Yeah. It's a design that maybe it does not have the nostalgia of the E28, and it doesn't have the modern beautifulness, if you will, of the E39, but it's a design that I can appreciate. Well, me and my dentist, we appreciate it. He says it looks really good on me. So this is my number 2. It's my number 2.
Really?
It's my number 2. This is my number 2. Very close to being my number 1. Very close. Like 1A, 1B, damn near. But I can't do Bob like that. So, Brooklyn, where did you land the E34?
What spaces do I have left?
You have 2 and 5.
That's 5.
Actually, as I was saying, the dentist vehicle. See?
No, well, I like it. I should have written down my own list. I'm busy.
You're over here putting on oversized sweaters of E30s. Yes, I know.
Okay, so I have remaining my number 1, right? And what, number 5?
No, that's it. You've already given me your number 1.
No. Oh, yeah. Oh, so I have 2 left then. I have number 2 left.
You have
Yes.
number 2 left, yes.
Okay.
But
run down what I have so far.
You have already told me your number 1 is the E39. So
Right.
you jumped ahead. So you've already told me your number 2 spot is empty. Your number 3 spot is the F90. Your number 4 spot is the E60. Your number 5 spot is the E34. 6 spot is the G90. 7 spot is the F10.
6 is G90, 7 is F10. I feel like E34 M5 is higher ranking than that to me because I'm never really thinking about the other cars. And I really do like the E39, the E34 M5. 5 just doesn't feel fair.
That's why I wrote
this
fourth.
Yeah, we're gonna flip that around. I'm
That's
moving
why I wrote fourth.
E34 M5 up to my number 3 spot. I'm demoting F90 to the number 5 spot. You know, and it's as Bobby Brown once said, it's my prerogative.
Tis. All right. Well, that leaves just one lone soldier. No, 2, right? That where are we at? Number 1,
For each
right?
person? No, Adam has to. Oh, Adam said where he ranked the E34. Did you say?
So
what
Adam, you're at number
ranked it
2, E39. You still have number 1 spot available. E60 number 3, E34 number 4, F90 5, F10 is in the 6th spot. 7th spot is G90. So Adam just has 1 left, and we know who that is, right? And Brooklyn, we know where you put the E39. I mean, listen, at this point, we're talking about.
Go ahead.
We're talking about the greatest
Rolex wearing.
the greatest M5 of all time, and for good reason, because it's probably the one that we have the most experience with, and it's probably one that, you know, there's nothing wrong with. I always have a problem saying familiarity, you know, being familiar with
We
a
still
car.
have a problem with it.
I do. And, Duval County, don't blame me. But the E28 M5, you know, what have we not said about it in terms of
what a great looking car,
just being a great car. And it's not as fast as any of these. This is the slowest car on the list. It probably has the least amount of creature comforts, but style-wise, you cannot beat this, right? The best styling cue about the E28 is the shark nose, where it's, you know, it's shaped in a sense where see if I can get to it. But where this right here is just, it's so anti-aerodynamic, right? At least to the human eyes. I'm sure it works better. But this car is what, Adam was like, well, we got to pay homage to the M535i. And I understand that. And that's very true, because it was the same formula. But the story is that the BMW executive security could not keep up with the 745i that the top BMW boss are riding in the M535i, because that car was turbocharged. And the execs were like bubbling, leaving the M535i, which I'm sure they was kind of getting with him in the corners, but the security was like, bro, I need something bigger and better. And they were like, man, you know what? I got you. They went and got the S38, plucked the M88, plucked it out of the M1, dropped it into the E28. Little shadow line. And matter of fact, the first Euro E28s, I think shadow line was like optional, but you could get it debadged. It's still, they were trying to keep it so Q-ship that they kept the TRXs, the little 3, I don't even know, 2, 3, whatever it was, TRXs And when they debuted it at the motor show, I think it was a Turin Motor Show, and they were like, "Hey, give us something. It still looks like a regular E28." They're like, "All right, we'll put the BBSs on there." So that's how the BBSs, the 16-inch BBSs, ended up on the E28 M5, because the general response was like, "Dude, you got to give me something. I know it's got the motor, but you got to give me a little something on the outside." And there you have it. You have the E28 M5, and I'm just going to share this story real quick. Is that at my first vintage in 2015, I knew that the E28 M5 was only available in limited numbers stateside, and I walked all the way to the back row, not far from that restaurant where we ate, and there was probably 12 E28 M5s backed in this little back row. And my jaw dropped. Yeah, it was almost a dozen of them. And I'm just like, my mind is blown. I'm like, this is 2015. This car hadn't seen, BMW hasn't sent any over here since 1987, 88, right. And here's 12 of them. And I've seen maybe one in my real life. And I was I was immediately in love. I was like, I want an E28 M5. And that's what started my journey. About a year and a half later, about a year later, I was actually able to buy one. So that's the styling. The interior, believe it or not, is top notch. And the engine is to die for. It makes race car sounds.
It does.
The handling is really, really good. You gotta treat the suspension a little bit, and you can't beat it. It's as Brooklyn said with the E39 M5, and that justifies why it's in his number one spot, is that any car that you get in and then get out of and you feel better than when you went in the car, that means something. Number one spot.
Wolf?
I concur. As I said at the beginning, I really thought for a long time that I didn't need an M car to cap my E28, my E28 bona fides. But I drove so many over the years. I must have driven at least a half dozen E28 M5s, and some of them stock, some of them modified. And gosh, I just couldn't get it out of my head. And then I ended up chasing one for a few years, and that one, came up for sale, and it was, just a good opportunity. And so there you go. And, I'm going to do my own thing to it, because that's what I do. You can see it with coilovers and 17-inch wheels here, and it's also got a black interior. So, I mean, there's quite a bit of work left to do on this car, but I'm going to put my own little stank on it, as you say, and I don't feel like I will be disappointed at all. So, to be fair, I have not driven this car yet. So that's some future content for Slick Top City, and I'm really looking forward to driving it, though, because I think that, I don't know, I think I've mentioned this before, but I kind of believe in like auras of cars and stuff like that, and I feel like that I'll be able to give this car justice. And I've seen it driven. I've seen it driven in anger. I've seen it on the twisties, and I am really looking forward to, replicating that behind the wheel with all the tricks I've learned for underneath the car and all the things that it needs. So
right on.
Number one.
Numero uno.
Wow.
Didn't think I need to write that down, but I will. E28. Okay. And
Fun fact. Lots of good E34 parts on that car.
Really?
E34 M5 parts, yeah.
Nice.
E34 M5 parts? Like what?
Brakes.
Really?
The M systems. Those are M5 wheels, I believe.
Facts.
Yeah. E39 M5 wheels. So so Brooklyn, I guess that slots you into the number 2 spot, right? With the E28.
Well, let me say it.
Oh, sorry.
Host with the most. After much deliberation, I've chosen the E28 M5 as my number 2 pick.
That's exactly what.
E28, like I said, let me say it, like a toddler would say. Let me say it. E28 M5s are amazing. Dre Zoom was gracious enough to let me drive his car, Bob, aka Bob Marley. Great car. They seem to. It's a sign of quality, right? How well, of course, those of us that have these cars, it's up to us to preserve them. But when the car is high quality to begin with, my 88 M6, Dre's 88 M5, Adam's 88 M5, like these cars from the 80s, they hold up. That quality, that West Germany quality was, sure, Germany was oppressive in the 80s, but damn it, Gretchen and Gertrude signed the back sides of my, my door panels, and, those women built those cars solid, right? E28 M5, I still want one for myself, even though, the same engine is in my E24 M6. They're totally different cars. They drive different. They look different. I love E28s. We've spoken about, the Judge's old 535 IS Merlin. I've driven more than one E28 M5. Shout out to Rodney for letting me drive his. Rodney Middendorf let me drive his car years ago when we were rolling the twisties. These legendary articles we all read. We're at 3 different parts of the country, and me, Wolf, and Dre were reading all of these same Car and Driver and Motor Trend articles about the M5, collecting tidbits. There was no YouTube in those days, no social media. But yeah, M5, E28 M5s are great. I'll leave the rest to the experts.
No, yeah, I mean, this is we're classic, modern classic car guys, so it's almost no surprise, but if for good reason. If you ever have the chance to experience, not even just M5s but E28s, we call it the Holy Trinity: E28, E30, E24. We feel like it's not just a sweet spot. We feel like that's the best spot of where BMW has did their engineering, their research, their construction, and building the ultimate driving machine is with those 3. So the M versions of those cars also, follow suit. So good stuff. I'm glad you guys were able to share how you feel about the M5 lineage. I've been wanting to do this episode for a while. This is, like I said, this is going to open up the floodgate for a lot of other things. We could start talking about E34s, and we can start talking about turbocharged V8s and M5s and our experiences driving them and all that stuff in future episodes. So good stuff. Adam, closing thoughts.
The M5 is a legend in its own right. I've already said that, but I just want to restate. And I look forward to every single time that I get to drive an M5, whether it's a friend's, or soon to drive my own M5. And just terrific cars, and very, very much looking forward to the slick top city treatment for my M5.
Yeah. Right on. Brooklyn?
As we said earlier, M5s you cannot go wrong with any generation M5, right? So it's, as the Wolf said, it's a close margin when you're deciding. There's at least one man, if not a dozen. There's someone out there with every generation M5. And depending on his mood, unless he just always drives his E28 M5 on Saturday and drives the F90 on Tuesdays, but it's a tough decision. All of us who have multiple cars, it's a tough decision day to day, but every M5 you jump in is going to have that spirit of, very rapid executive transportation. And, the earlier you get, the more analog, you're going to feel. So I respect everybody's choices today. And I respect my choice. And M5s are fantastic.
Also,
yeah.
Right on. All right, gents. I got to run. I've got a football game I got to catch. Not like football we were talking earlier, but flag football for my son. So I got to get out of here. Good stuff as usual. Adam, you like your E28 right there on my shirt? Yeah.
Excellent product placement.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Brooklyn, do you like yours right there?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm all about
Perfect.
So. Anyway, awesome. All right. This is S38 Fire Team. Adam, Brooklyn. I'm Trey Zoom. We'll catch you guys on the flip. We are out.
Good night,
bye, guys.